So it's all out there. Apple has launched their products, their 4 iPhone 13 models. iOS 15 is live, public. It's on the phones. I'm going to walk you through an unbox of all 4 models, and I'm going to show you some things that you need to know about when you take that phone out the box and dive into iOS 15, some things that are going to be different than they were for you on previous versions of iOS. Let's go. So I'm going to put chapter markers down in the bottom there so that you can skip around to the different things. We're going to start off with a look at some of the stuff we have on the table here, get into an unboxing, and then I'm going to walk you through, I think, some of the most striking things that you're going to come across when you first power up that new iPhone 13 and jump into iOS 15. So let's start with the unboxing. We are, of course, going to have reviews on every one of these devices. I've got cases from Catalyst, which I really like because they redirect the audio back at your face with the way they're designed, and some cases from another company, MyPivet, that are biodegradable, self-cyclable, so they break down in landfills in weeks, months, not years. And then we also have iPhone's factory, their OEM cases, which are always excellent. We'll get into a lot of that, but let's jump into an iPhone wallet. That's something that we'll also talk about because they've updated this and it's really cool. So let's jump into the unboxing here. I've got your top-down view over here. We're going to look at that. And so I've already taken out one of these devices, and that's the iPhone 13 Pro. So we're going to unbox here the Mini, the Pro Max, and the iPhone 13, the standard, the regular one. So let's go ahead and take out the Mini. I was really impressed with the first generation of the Mini that they introduced in the iPhone 12. It was just a really, really cool phone. In the box, you're going to get the usual. So you'll have the SIM pin, you'll have the white Apple sticker, and you'll have the charging cable. Of course, you have these slim boxes. You're not going to get earbuds or a charging brick anymore. That's what you're going to get there. But this is the midnight version of the Mini. Beautiful little phone. It is really nice. It has a beautiful color to it. Let's get it toward the middle here. Really shiny on the back. It's smooth, but it does have a little bit of it's got a gloss, so yeah, it's not going to be too slippery. It is a little grippy, which is interesting. Let's move on here, and let's take a look at the iPhone 13, the standard iPhone 13, not the Pro. This is the blue, or it's just called a blue, no fancy name here. This is just blue. Again, we just have the color cover here, the white cover. Same thing in the box, charging cable, stickers. Let's power this one on so you can see the cute little power screen that we get when we turn this on. These phones, they still have the lightning ports. They didn't go USB-C. You're going to get higher refresh rates on the Pro models, which we'll talk about in a second. Cameras, there are upgrades. We'll get into that in the review. So there are some great things to look forward to in the cameras. And let's get over to the Pro Max and unbox that. We have to actually pull the stickers on the back now. So let's open those up. This is their new Sierra Blue. This is a really pretty color. This has, of course, all the bells and whistles, all the camera upgrades, upgrades to the ultra-wide camera, cinematic video features, all kinds of new things to talk about. Still stainless steel band around the phone. And this Sierra Blue is just really pretty. It's a really nice color. So that is the unbox. And like the others, you get the slim box, just the charging cable, the stickers, SIM keys, all that stuff in the box. So there you have it. The Sierra Blue Pro Max, the Gold Pro, the Blue 13, and the Midnight 13. the whole lineup. So let's get into what you're going to see with iOS 15, the first few things that you should be checking out. So let's talk about those iOS 15 features. I have here the gold tone iPhone 13 Pro. So jumping right in, and of course iOS 15, these features are going to be consistent across all 4 devices. So just because this is the 13 Pro doesn't mean you're not going to have the same thing going on between the other 3, should you choose to purchase one of the other 3 devices. So first up, I want to help you find your focus. Yes, we're going to find our focus by looking at focus mode. So we go into Control Center here, and they have this new set of features that allow you to set your mode based on what you're doing, based on your activity or the lack thereof. And I really like this because one of the ones that I've really used a lot lately is driving mode. I don't have a newer car where I can connect this device via Bluetooth to my stereo as soon as I get in the car, which is one way that the driving mode activates automatically. When it recognizes it's connected to Bluetooth in your car, it'll activate, and so once it's activated, it will send responses to text messages saying that you're busy driving and you can't respond. But with this focus mode, I have it turned on automatically while driving. But what's great about it is not only when it's connected to Bluetooth, but you can have it turn on automatically, and what it'll do is it based on detected motion, it will activate. So basically, it uses the GPS, accelerometer, all that stuff, all the technology to say, oh, well, he probably can't run 35 to 45 miles per hour. He's probably driving on a motorcycle, what have you, and it automatically turns on driving mode, and then we'll send auto replies to whoever you choose. I have it set to all contacts, so when somebody text messages me or calls me while I'm driving, it'll say, I'm driving with focus turned on. I'll see your message when I get where I'm going. I'll probably change that to something snarky at some point in the very near future because I speak fluent sarcasm. Next, after looking at that, you also can go through all these. You can set up and add custom modes, but the standard default modes are do not disturb, driving, sleep mode, personal mode, and work mode. Obviously, personal mode, that's going to be for like when you're at home. You can set this up so certain apps are on screens so that you get different setups for when you are home and when you want to access certain information. So that is a really cool thing. So again, allowed apps for notifications. You know, maybe you're at home and again, you don't want to be distracted by certain work items when you're at home. So you can hide home screen pages. So you can create home screen pages that are for work or for home. And that's what I was talking about with the apps that you can have on home screens. That's how you do that. So that is focus mode, personal, work, sleep. Obviously, you can set sleep mode and customize that and just go crazy, have bedtime schedules, all kinds of things. So that's that. The next thing we're going to look at is the Notes app. The Notes app, new for iOS 15, is a tags feature down here, a tags board, and custom smart folders. You can set up a smart folder so that it automatically adds any notes that have a specific tag in them to that folder. So you don't have to go through creating all these folders like I've done here. So for example, you can create a note and then put in it kids, and then let's say school. So, you know, you met another parent at school, you got their phone number, they're on the PTSA, you're going to talk to them, you want to stay in contact with them. So I just created that note, and that note is going to be in my all notes. But let's say I want to, again, create a smart folder. I can now create that smart folder with the tags kids and school, and you can create a new tag. So maybe kids, school, the name of the school, maybe it's for a particular class, the name of the teacher. So you can add those to it. And there's the new smart folder. And I played around with the note the other day, so now there's two notes in there. And so you can see that smart folder now has all notes with kids and tags in it, the kids' tags in it. So new smart folders, the new tag board down here, really cool. You can also share notes with other iOS users. The Notes app has gotten more powerful, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot more useful than it has been in the past, although I've used it quite a bit, and it's been very useful for me. Next up is Safari. So let's dive into Safari and talk about what's new there. So you're used to probably seeing the URL area up here, the URL bar, the address bar. Now it's at the bottom, and when you're in an article, when you're reading anything, as you can see there, it hides. So when you're reading an article, let's move into, let's see here. I was looking up a meme the other day. So when you're moving through here, you can see it auto hides. So you have that. And when you pull it up, as you can see, it's easy to swipe between the different tabs that you have open now. And one of the things that I really like with Safari and this tabs now is, let's say you're doing some research and you have multiple tabs open. You can now grab a tab, hold it, and move to group tab. 15 tabs, you have that. You can create new tab groups. So if the 15 tabs are there and you don't have a group for it yet, you can go new tab group, create a name for that tab group, and now all those tabs are in that tab group. So see, there's 2 tab groups there that I had already previously created with alien language for the naming convention. That's how I roll. So one of the things I like with the tab groups is that you can add individual pages. So you just click the tab button, tap and hold one of those pages, and as you see, you can move it to a tab group. So you can move single pages, or like I showed you previously just a moment ago, you can move all the tabs you have open into a tab group. So again, you just tap and hold and you move it to the group. And this also works with links. So if you're on a page and let's say it has some links, let's say I have a tab group of recipes, you can tap and hold a link and also move that, open that in a new tab group. So let's say I'm in a group and it's not recipes because I was looking for something else. I can then open it in a new tab group there, open it in my recipes tab group. Let's say I'm researching African stews like I was doing recently when I came upon a peanut stew that I made recently. That was delightful. So you can do that. So really powerful grouping features, organization, and research for those of you who are in Safari a lot on your devices, your mobile devices doing research. The other thing I really like about Safari is the customization. I know people love to customize the devices, customize their phones. So let me show you this real quick. On an empty page, let's open up a new tab here. On an empty page, what you do is you're going to scroll to the bottom, click on Edit, and you can now add color or backgrounds to your Safari browser. So you can either add one of their built-in, one of their stock images, or you can go in here and I'm going to add Jean-Paul Basquiat to my background images. So when you open up a new tab here, you're going to now have Basquiat or whatever background image you put in there. So let's move on to the next thing. Let's talk about live text or scan text. That's something new in the camera, which allows you to do just that. You can scan text, signs, even scan items, and it'll give you information about items like flowers, a dog, different things, different objects in your environment. But I'm going to show you some of the text you can scan with signs and different things. So I'm going to take the new iPhone wallet case. We're going to open up the camera, and I'm going to show you here. It recognizes the text there. See the bounding box? Let's move that into view here. There you go. See, it's going to get a bounding box around the text and around the name iPhone wallet. And then you can hit this little button here. And now you can copy and paste that text into a document or text message, whatever you want. It will also do the same thing with websites. So let's take this here and put this in here. This is when I bought this camera that I'm shooting my top-down shot with. So let's do that and get the text there. And as you can see, boom, makes that text readable as a website. So we just scanned that and looked in there, and it made that readable. Something else, let's try this here. I'm gonna write a phone number. Those of you who are 80s babies will recognize this. I'm going to put an area code and then 777-9311. Yes, if you are of a certain age, you are familiar with that phone number. It was a popular song from a musician. So we're going to go here and let's see if it'll scan my handwritten text and then call that number. Boom. There you go. So it tried to call 777-9311. Google it. So that is the new Scan Live Text feature in iOS 15. Very cool feature. And like I said, it does much more than that. If you have dogs, if you have different things, flowers in an image, I'm looking here to see if any of these Catalyst outdoor cases, because they're for use in the outdoors and the elements, seeing if they have an animal on them, and they don't. But you can scan other items. It probably won't work with Baby Yoda because it doesn't know that this fella here doesn't know what kind of alien it is. So probably not going to get that to work. But again, other objects it will. And last but not least, you know, if you watched any of my videos here before, you know I'm really big on accessibility settings for those who are differently abled. I think it's something we don't talk about enough in our review videos, just across the board all over YouTube. But Apple, Google, they've done some really good things in accessibility. And let's get this here. One of the things that I want to talk about in terms of those things that are accessible or make life easier for people who are, in this case, neuro-divergent, some people who may need some white noise or different things to help calm them or soothe them through their days, is white noise built into the iPhone. So if you have some Bluetooth earbuds or Lightning earbuds connected to this, you can go into the settings menu and then you can go into accessibility, tap on that. So once you go into accessibility, you're going to want to go into the audio visual menu in accessibility. Once you're in the audio visual menu, you see you have background sounds. Go ahead and go into those. And then you see here, you can control, once you turn it on, you can control, choose which sound you're going to listen to. Balanced noise, bright noise, dark noise, ocean sounds, rain, or stream. So you can choose whichever one of those is going to work for you. Or maybe you have a child who's neurodivergent, they're on the spectrum. Maybe this helps with them, helps calm them, soothe them. So you can go in there and turn on any one of those sounds. And what those are going to do is they're going to play in the background of the device. So if the person, or if you are gaming, if you are reading Instagram, reading email, doing whatever, and you have headphones on, you are going to have those sounds playing in the background. And even if you aren't neurodivergent, you know, on the spectrum or anything going on like that, but you're just somebody who soothing sounds, white noise really helps you focus or relax, you can turn that on as well. It's there for whatever you need it. And so that is a really cool function. And it will play through the speakers. You can't really hear it here. Let's go ahead and turn that up. So there's the rain sound, or stream sound rather. Let's go back to the rain. There's the rain sound, ocean sound, balanced noise. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. So those are the sounds you can turn on, and not just when you're wearing headphones, but they'll play through the speaker as well. We will, of course, have more coverage of this in the future, going over iOS 15 as we review all 4 of these devices here. We'll get into some of that. We'll especially cover some of the new things in the cameras. We'll talk more about that 120 hertz refresh rate, which, by the way, is beautiful on this screen. It really is very noticeable the first time you're moving through the screen and just moving through apps. As a matter of fact, because I like you, I'll show you real quick here. when you're just opening up folders. It just is much quicker when you're scrolling pages. It is just so visible. And again, especially if you're coming from an older device, it's really going to be very noticeable. But anyway, I'm Tshaka Armstrong for reviews.org. If you have any questions about iOS 15, or if you have any questions about the new iPhone 13, go ahead and answer those in the comment section below. I will get to them. Don't take it lightly that you've watched here with us. Loved having you. I will catch you on the next video.